Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi there, good afternoon. You're watching Your Stocks. I'm Mangla Malu. With me is Ekta Batra. For the markets, virtually unchanged despite, trying to oscillate between the green and red for both the Sensex and the Nifty. Mid-caps underperforming, Nifty Bank outperforming. That's pretty much the story of the day. Good afternoon, Ekta.
Hi, Manglam. Yes, absolutely. So we have the mid-cap index, which is down around 0.3%. And a lot of these frontline stocks, which are underperforming. So M&M, which is down around 2.8%. ONGC, which is down 2.5%. It's something like a Dr. Reddy's, which is down to around 2.2%. So it gives you an indication that maybe the declines are sector agnostic at this point in time. And there's just profit booking across the board, which is taking place. Titan 2, which is down around 1.2%. But let's take you through all of the top stories we're tracking this afternoon, and then we're going to get to answering all of your queries as well. It's a listless day of trade, but the market bounces back from the day's low. PSU banks and energy stocks sulk while the mid-cap index is in line.
Big Bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala says markets will consolidate in 2018, bets on domestic flows outpacing the foreign inflows, adds that he is extremely bullish on troubled banks.
Finance Ministry to hold meet with lenders to the power sector. Important on the agenda is the firming up of the view on relief to stressed power companies by the Allahabad High Court.
Interglobe Aviation rises after the company clarifies that top management had not received any summons for FEMA violation. CG Power 2 surges in trade on the back of a bullish Citi report. All right, before we go across to our guests today, we have the flash coming in, which is the SEBI board meeting has concluded. We'll try to get in Yash with all the key takeaways of what transpired in that board meeting. There were a few items on the agenda which were market sensitive. We will keep an eye out on what was the conclusion there. We'll try to get in Yash, but as of now, the key flash that we're getting is the SEBI board meeting has concluded. So in the meanwhile, while we get some more details on that, we will welcome Vijay Chopra as well as Rajat Bose. Both of them will be with us to answer all your stock queries. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining in. And we have Sampad Iyer writing to us from Pune, holds 5,000 shares of Axis Bank at 493 rupees for the last 2 years. Long-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Rajat, Axis Bank, he's holding it for the long term. Earlier we heard Rakesh Jhunjhunwala himself say that troubled banks is something that he's bullish on without naming a particular bank. But what is your technical view on Axis Bank before we get a fundamental view?
See, I would say technically Axis Bank to me looks weak, but from a longer term perspective, maybe over a period of time it might still do well. But I would suggest switching on to say something like an SBI or an ICICI Bank. That would be better compared to Axis Bank. So if I were to choose, I would rather switch from Axis Bank to say SBI or ICICI or both. That would be a better choice, I suppose. I mean, and SBI is particularly looking bullish to me since it is showing a cup and handle formation, which suggests that there could be further bullishness going ahead.
Okay, all right, Rajat. So that's the technical view coming in on Axis. Vijay, what would you recommend?
I think, he can exit on rallies. I concur with Rajat when he says that, SBI looks better. Even looking at this situation, I think that 540, 550 is quite possible on Axis. And he should try and book profits there and maybe shift into some other bank if he wants to stay into banking. But I would suggest, there are other opportunities in the market if he wants to make money. Pharma is offering great opportunities. I've been iterating, for maybe around 6 months that pharma is in the process of bottoming out, and we have seen a decent spurt happening and all the positive news flow around pharma. So I think that, if he wants to really, make a return on his investment, I think that pharma seemingly is a good promising sector. I don't think that, there are going to be any major negative news flow from here on.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in at this point in time on our query on Axis. Well, we have another one now. Manish calls in from Mumbai and with a question, investments in CEAT. Hi, Manish.
Hello.
Hi. Your question is on CEAT?
Yeah, I have bought CEAT 50 shares at around 600 level, and I bought it at 4 months back.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know that, what are the future prospects of CEAT in near term?
How long are you okay with holding it for?
6 months to 1 year.
Okay, 6 months to 1 year. Vijay, so over to you on this one. 6 months to 1 year is what Manish is okay with holding CEAT for. Obviously, he's sitting on a loss at this point in time. What would you recommend? When will it probably get to his buy price according to you? 1 and 2, should he even average out?
I think he should. CEAT seemingly, and rather all the tire stocks, we've seen a major correction happening in CEAT since in the last few months. So the possibility is that the stock is going to show some bounce back, but averaging around 1332, 1338 levels won't be a bad idea at all. I think that stock still has a potential of reaching to 1450 and 1500 odd levels. So if he can, he should try and average CEAT, because it's a good company, and we've seen auto numbers which are fairly good. So all the auto OEMs are doing well, including the tire companies. So CEAT is one of the major OEMs. And I think that, if at all crude prices start falling from here, so we'll see profitability rising for all the tire companies. So I think that he should average, and 1450, 1500 is quite possible.
All right, average is the view coming in from Vijay. Rajat, would you concur, or would you ask him to stay held in the stock?
I wouldn't say that you average it immediately, but there is a point there, in the sense that on 9th of January 2018, CEAT clocked a high of 2019. Perhaps that was an all-time high for the stock. And after that, around 1300 levels, it is taking good support, and there are some early signs of a reversal in the form of some oscillators giving positive divergence, which is a precursor to a bullish reversal. So my suggestion would be hold it with a stop below 1200, and only when you see it crossing and sustaining above 1400, then consider averaging. That means that yes, there is a clear signal that now the stock is actually moving up. Only then you go for averaging. Otherwise, I would resist averaging.
Okay. All right, so that's the view coming in on CEAT. We need to take a break now with the news that the Nifty is just about flattened out in green terrain. The Bank Nifty is outperforming, and we have the mid-cap index, which is underperforming. Just look at the move on ICICI Bank. That's really the stock of the day, up around 2% for ICICI Bank, and Reliance Industries, fresh high for that stock, continuing in terms of follow-on buying for that one. Take a break, but more queries lined up on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, nothing much to incrementally talk about, except that it is a little bit of a negative advance decline ratio that we have on our hands. So advances are 800 stocks advancing, and around 1,500 stocks which are declining on the Bombay Stock Exchange. Some statements coming in from the Saudi Energy Minister. This is ahead of the OPEC meeting, so do watch out for that. Brent crude currently has been in a range for the past couple of days of anywhere between $73 to $75 per barrel. So that's those are some statements which are coming in. Let's get another query in now. We have T. Radhakrishna, who writes to us from Bangalore, holds 114 shares of HEG at 2,300, so sitting on a profit. Since the past 6 months, long-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Rajat, have you been tracking the charts of HEG, and what would you recommend in such a case?
See, he says he's a long-term investor, and the stock has been doing pretty well since middle of last year. I would say that now, since bullish momentum is not as much as it was, say, in the last 6 months of last year, but still it can still move up. So I would suggest a stop loss of 29.50 on closing price basis and ask him to hold on. Probably there would be still some more upside still left, and that tailwind he can enjoy.
All right, the stock's been a 10-bagger. He's sitting on some money. We keep speaking to the managements of these graphite companies, and they are pretty bullish on the sentiment for or demand environment for these commodities as well. So positive there. Hold on, that is the view coming in. Let's move on to the next one. Sanjay M writing to us from Kolkata. 4,000 shares of SBI at 271 rupees for the last 2 weeks. Short-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Rajat, you did speak about a bullish cup and handle pattern in SBI. Does that work in the very, very short term as well, and will he make money?
Yeah, actually that is a short-term pattern, at least if it is found on the end of day chart, daily chart, then it is actually a short-term pattern. But when you see that the same pattern on monthly or weekly charts, you can actually take it as medium to long-term pattern. So having said that, I would say that basing on that same pattern, I would put a stop loss below 263 on the close, and I would keep a target of 289. I generally don't give targets for your long-term or medium-term investors, but since he is a short-term player, for him the target would be 289. But if I were in his shoes, I would have held State Bank for the medium to long-term.
Okay, well, now on to another query then. Piyush writes to us from Kolkata. He holds 4,000 shares of LT Foods at 70 rupees since the past 6 months and is a long-term investor, wants to know whether to hold or sell. Sitting on a loss at this point, Rajat, what would you recommend to Piyush on something such as an LT Foods?
This stock is not looking very encouraging on the charts. What I would suggest is that unless it takes out 80 decisively in any kind of market recovery, it would be better to seek an exit. On the other hand, suppose if there is no rally as such in the stock, and if it were to close below 60, then also seek an exit, because in that case you should limit your losses, because if purchase 4,000 shares at 70 rupees, even if he were to sacrifice 10 rupees, that would be a 40,000 loss. So either 60 or 80, whichever way it goes, you seek an exit.
All right, either 60 or 80, whichever way it goes, just take an exit. Let's move on to the next one. BB Raju writing to us from Odisha holds 2,500 shares of UPL for 650 rupees for the last 1 year. Medium-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Well, it's pretty much where the person bought it in the last 6 months. 650 is his purchase price. 648 is where the stock is at right now. Rajat, what do you think the future prospects for UPL look like on the charts?
See, UPL has given a breakdown yesterday and today, no great shakes. I would say that I would suggest an exit at the first opportunity. That means if there were to be any minor rally or if there is further breakdown, then definitely get out of this, because this stock suggests that there will be more downside going forward.
Okay, all right, so that's on UPL. That stock has underperformed on a year-to-date basis. Obviously, there is worries with regards to the Brazilian real depreciation as well, but a lot of analysts say that those worries are overdone. Well, for the Nifty, it's absolutely flat at this point, and the mid-cap index still down around 54 points. We have one more caller. We have Narendra, who calls us from Bihar with a question, investments in Aditya Birla Fashion. Hi, Narendra. Hi. Your question?
हाँ मैडम.
हाँ, आपका सवाल एबी फैशन एंड रिटेल पे है?
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
बोलिए.
हाँ, हम आदित्य बिरला फैशन है और लेना चाहते हैं, इसको ऐड करना चाहते हैं और.
ओके.
तो लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए.
लॉन्ग टर्म मतलब 1 साल से ज्यादा?
1 साल से ज्यादा नहीं, 3 साल एंड अबव.
Okay, all right, up to around 3 years. Rajat, what would you recommend? He's just about flat on his investment at this point, and if you could just respond in Hindi as well.
हाँ जरूर. बधाई हो नरेंद्र जी. आपने एक तो आपको पूछा है कि 1 साल, आपने बोला 3 साल और उससे भी ज़्यादा. ऐसा बहुत कम सुनने को मिलता है इन दिनों में. मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि आप जो एग्जिस्टिंग होल्डिंग है आपके पास में जो ऑलरेडी है वो 130 के नीचे क्लोजिंग प्राइस बेसिस पे बने रहे और स्टॉप लॉस लगा के बने रहे। और जब आप लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए सोच रहे हैं तो मैं आपसे विनती ये करूंगा कि इस लेवल पे कुछ लीजिए और जब ये 155 से 160 जिसमें कि कुछ सप्लाई आ सकता है वो लेवल जब पार करे तब इतना सोचिए कि इसमें और रफ्तार आएगी और मोमेंटम आएगी, उस टाइम में फिर से खरीदारी कर सकते हैं आप।
हेलो।
All right, congratulations on the decision that you've made. पहले तो नरेंद्र जी 3 साल के लिए आप इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं और रजत जी की राय भी आपने सुन ली है. With that, we'll slip into a short break. On the other side, we will get you an exclusive chat that Shireen Bhan had with Big Bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. Well, the Nifty has now moved into the red, not too much, just about 9 points, and that's because of Reliance as well as Kotak Mahindra Bank. Both of them have seen some bit of supply at higher levels. But let's move on to a big CNBC TV18 exclusive. Shireen Bhan caught up with Big Bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, began by asking him about a whole host of issues regarding the outlook for Indian markets, the sectors he likes. Hear him out.
Markets have had a tremendous rise. I think we bottomed in August 2013 around 5,200 or 4,800. And you had the Nifty go to about 11,000, 11,300. I think we are now correcting. And if you look at the long rise that we have had, it's a very, I would say it's a very poor correction. Right? And I, for one, believe that, bull markets cannot end at this level of GDP to profits, this level of profits to GDP. The flow of local money into markets, I think is just the beginning. Abhi to khali trailer aaya hai. And I don't think this flow is going to stop. The index may have lost maybe 10% or 7-8%, but there has been tremendous correction in the mid-cap stocks, right? I don't think that political uncertainty is going to let these markets go down beyond a point. I personally feel it is too early to predict an election which is going to take place 11 months hence, right? And see, it's in the history of all democracies, bipoles by and large always go against the ruling party. So I think too much is being made of the fact that the BJP has lost the bipoles. The fact remains that Mr. Modi is the most towering leader this country has today. And I think in a range of 1 to 10, if he is 9, the second person is 3. So you will fight these central elections on the basis of an electable prime minister. I don't think the Congress or the opposition has got a credible leader as a prime minister. Having said that, the fact is that the BJP did extremely well in the Hindi cow belt. To repeat that kind of performance may be difficult. But I am pretty sure myself in all my calculations that the next government is going to be a BJP government. I think the local influence is going to be far greater than the foreign influence. And one thing, the major amount of the foreign money is company specific. A lot of people are invested in HDFC. A lot of people are invested in HDFC Bank. A lot of people are, are invested, say, in TCS. So I don't think that's got anything to do with India. That's got to do with Indian companies. So I, for one, feel that the flow of the local money, first of all, will be far greater than the foreign outflow. I always remember Mark Faber was the guru of one of the guru emerging markets. He always said one thing: the locals know best. I'm pretty sure the worst is behind us. See, the problem was the US generic competition. The fact that there were all kind of threats that the government will impose price control in India, and 3 was the currency. Right? If you see 17, 18 or 16, 17, everybody's realization foreign currency was 4-5% lower than what was in the previous year. This year it will be 5% higher than what it was last year. I think the generic competition in America is leveling off now. Now, I think the Indian pharma industry is entering an unknown, risky but exciting phase, where companies like Sun, Lupin and others are going into specialty generics, right? Even if one of the medicines succeeds, it could be a game changer.
Okay, so we're going to get you that exclusive conversation through the day, but some important statements, which is a CNBC TV18 exclusive, where the DFS meeting with power companies has concluded. Remember that they were going to meet all stakeholders on the Allahabad High Court order to firm up the view, and apparently there is exhaustive discussion which is done with regards to all of the issues, and the power industry submissions have been made today as well. We'll try and do one thing. We'll get Anshu to talk a little more about what the meeting contained and what the way forward might be, but that's all the time that we have on this show on Your Stocks. But Closing Bell will take all this action forward. Stay tuned.